All right. Well, hello everyone. I'm Jasmine Black. I am one of the enrollment specialists for McKendree Worldwide, and we are doing a video series that are featuring some of our faculty and some of our student service specialists. So today I am elated to be joined by Dr. Tami Eggleston. How are you, Dr. Eggleston?
I am great. I love that you used the word elated. That's a great introduction.
Vocab word for the day, right?
That's right.
Awesome. Well, as you can see, we're conducting our interviews remotely as McKendree does its part to flatten the curve. So Dr. Eggleston has agreed to graciously do a two-part series for us today because I'm sure, as she will tell you, she wears many hats for the university. So if you're ready, we'll get started.
Perfect.
All right, awesome. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and kind of what you do for the university?
Sure. So I'm Tami Eggleston, and I am a professor of psychology. I do that with one of my hats. I'm also an associate provost for institutional effectiveness. So I deal with teaching and assessment and part-time faculty, a variety of hats in that particular role. And then I even have a little bit to do with the graduate program and counseling. So online psychology, face-to-face psychology, research classes with my students, assessment, teaching, a lot of different things. And I've been at McKendree for almost 25 years. So that's probably
Oh,
part of the
wow.
reason I wear a lot of hats.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, well, what brought you to McKendree? How did you start your McKendree journey?
Sure. Well, I went to a small private Methodist college in Iowa. I was born and raised in Iowa, and I went to a small private college. I'm a first generation student, so I really knew nothing about college. I remember the first day they said, "Here's a syllabus," and I didn't know what a syllabus was. So I was very new to the whole college world. Had great parents, they loved me, but they didn't know anything about college. So I am so grateful that I went to the school that I did. I really just got lucky that I found a good small private because I think they really worked with me and nurtured me and really made me the person that I am. I just loved my 4 years at that small private in Iowa. So then I went on and earned my PhD at Iowa State. Again, stayed in Iowa, was close to my family, wanted to stay in Iowa. And then when I got my PhD, I applied for over 70 jobs to be a college professor. My dream was to be a college professor, but I only wanted to teach at a small private college where I could really give back. I also really wanted to work somewhere with a lot of first generation students because I feel like that because I was first gen, I could really give back. Now, I love all students, but I always have just sort of a special place in my heart for first generation students. So I found McKendree 25 years ago. I didn't know if I would stay forever, thought maybe I wanted to go back to Iowa, but the time here has just really gone well, and I love it here.
That's awesome. That's a really cool story. Well, and I know you have impacted a lot of lives during that 25-year span. So I'm sure, your students appreciate the experience, that you've been able to bring to the table too. So that's fantastic. So, okay, how have you adjusted kind of your lessons and your teaching style since we as a university have made changes, due to COVID-19?
Right. Well, I feel really fortunate that I have always been a little techie. Now, I'm not saying like I can come over and fix your computer or anything, but I've always been a little techie. And I actually have been organizing teaching workshops for the last almost 15 years on online teaching and how to use Blackboard and how to use Zoom and how to use
Hmm.
Teams. And so I've been organizing these workshops. And let me tell you, I am so grateful that I knew how to use Zoom and I knew how to use Blackboard. So the day that we basically said all of our face-to-face classes were going to be 100% remote, I wasn't really that stressed out. I already used quizzes and discussion boards, and so I think most of my students, they were already pretty used to those tools. So I'm very fortunate that I didn't feel like the change was that significant. So maybe my students say, hey, you're not doing as good of a job as you think, but I really don't think it's been that big of change. I teach online a lot. So for
Right.
me, I believe in a quality education if it's 100% face to face, if it's blended, or 100% online. I believe that at McKendree, I can still give you that one on one attention. No matter what the medium is. So I might be in the minority saying that it didn't change my life that much. I guess the biggest change is now my dog can sit on my lap when I'm teaching sometimes, and that didn't happen
Right.
before.
Well, you'd be surprised though, 'cause I've spoken with a few other faculty, and I mean, most of the ones that teach classes online already, I don't think it wasn't really a big jump for them. I think it might have been a bit of a transition maybe for some of their students,
Right.
that are not taking online classes. But I mean, as far as the course content and the quality of education, we try to be the same regardless, of the
Absolutely.
format of what we're delivering in it. So I think that's great. Awesome. Okay. Well, so still speaking of lessons, and with your 25 years of experience, what kind of real world experiences are you bringing into the classroom, and how do you incorporate those into your lessons?
Right. And I think that's important. I think even though you're a professor, students still want some real world experience. So, about 15 years ago, I've always loved sports. My grandpa was a stock car racer, my dad was a drag car racer. I married a racer. So, we still actually participate in drag racing. I was a high school cheerleader, a high school volleyball player, just love sports. So,
Gotcha.
I had always cared about taking psychology and combining it with sports. But about 15 years ago, I received a sabbatical from McKendree where I could take a semester to really dive into something. Those are competitive. And what I
Yeah.
did was I became a certified sports psychologist. I had to take extra courses. I had to work with other sports psych experts. And 15 years ago, that was relatively new. So
Yeah.
I'm one of about 500 certified sports psychologists in the whole country who've taken the courses and the hours and the exams and the continuing education and all of that. So I teach a course on sports psychology, started a sports psychology minor, so I can come in and talk about doing counseling with athletes and helping different athletes. I work with 12-year-olds all the way up to a professional drag racer. So I kind of work with a variety of athletes, and I think students really like that they know I'm a professor. But another hat I throw on is that I do this sports psychology consulting. So when people ask me about counseling, I don't do substance abuse counseling or I don't do depression kind of counseling, but I work with athletes on things to help them. And so I think students really appreciate that. And what I really like about the McKendree Psych program is we have all of these people teaching in our program who are that maybe they're working in a prison during the day and teaching an online forensic psychology later. They are a counselor during the day and they're teaching stress management to our students at night. So we make sure that we have plenty of theory, that's important, but we also make sure we have plenty of real world examples. And I know students just eat up those stories. I know that. I do too. I
Sure.
eat up a
Yeah.
story too. Yeah.
Would you say that you believe that's something that really sets us apart, from other programs?
I do, and I think in our psych program we are very intentional. Like if you just look at our courses, we have courses called military psychology. That is a very applied uh, psychology course. We have sports psychology. We have industrial organizational. Again, I absolutely love theory, love research. I do. Ask my students; they know I love theory and research. But I love it when you can take theory and research and apply it. The one of the reasons I love psychology is I think you take a psych course and it makes you a better person. I mean, it makes you a better person. It makes you a better partner. It makes you a better parent. It makes you a better athlete. I think everybody should major in psychology because it makes you better at everything you do.
I 100% agree. I got my bachelor's in occupational therapy,
Yep.
and
Yep.
obviously therapy, there's a huge part of that is psychology. So I took a
Yes.
lot of psychology, in college, so much in fact that I minored in it,
Mhm.
but out of all of the courses and the stuff that I learned in college, psychology is probably the most applicable,
Right.
and
Yep.
I've been able to apply that to all kinds of different aspects of my life. So I mean, I thoroughly have enjoyed it, and I do think it's something that you can carry on with you forever. So that's cool. Well, so you've mentioned a couple of different cool, interesting courses already. Are there any other interesting courses that, are kind of your favorites and you want
Sure.
to
Well,
talk about?
I mean, this sounds like of course I'm going to say this, but I think all of our courses are interesting. If we didn't think they were interesting, we'd get rid of them. We really would. I think the 4 full-time faculty members in psych, we constantly are looking at our major and saying, do students need this? Is this important for them in grad school? Is this important for them in careers? And we're changing. We'll delete a course, we'll add a course. We just added applied behavior analysis, I guess 2 years ago, and 5 years ago I didn't even know what applied behavior analysis was. But as
Right.
soon as I started to hear about it and students were getting jobs, I went, I have to find an applied behavior analysis expert and have that person start teaching a course. So now we have this woman who she's fantastic. She She practices ABA. She started a successful business in ABA, and now she teaches our applied behavior analysis course. So
Wow.
I can't pick okay, I can pick a favorite. It'd be sports psychology.
Yeah.
But besides that, I think all of our courses really are theoretical research and also have applied real world experience. Maybe students don't all love research methods, but you
Okay.
really can't be in psychology without knowing about research methods. So
Right.
maybe the students don't at first think, wow, that looks amazing. But once you get into research methods and you learn how psychologists do research, that makes you a better consumer of knowledge. So all of the courses are either important or just super interesting.
That's cool. And I do think, I mean, the interesting courses that you all have brought into the program, I think it does give another lens for those interested in psychology because, I mean, psychology can be so broad. I don't think people always know different paths that they can kind of go down to kind of, refine or hone in their skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it shows more career opportunities, kind of in that regards as well. Would you say?
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's the blessing and the curse of the psychology major is that you can do everything, but you can do everything. And I think
Right.
that can be overwhelming for students. And I get that. I completely get that. Um, Myself as a psych major when I was 18, one day I wanted to be a psychiatrist and go to med school. The next day I wanted to be an IO psychologist and work in the business. The next day I wanted to be a forensic psychologist. Then I wanted to be a child psychologist. I mean, I loved all of it so much that cannot kind of be a burden. But at McKendree, because I realized that I think very few schools just say that up front. So we actually
Mhm.
have a course called Cornerstone that you take in your first year. It's just
Mhm.
1 hour, but it's kind of welcome to psychology. And we have you start thinking about majors and careers in that very first class. The first year that you're with us at McKendree, you'll take this Cornerstone class to kind of show you how broad it is, but maybe start making you think about some paths. And then your
Gotcha.
senior year, we have a senior seminar, professional seminar, where
Mhm.
you write a resume, you look at jobs, you look at grad school, and you also still look at the career. So we very much we don't just treat you like come take psychology at McKendree and good luck figuring out what you want to do.
Right.
We try to help you on that path. It's still a difficult path. It still takes a lot of your own soul searching, but we at
Right.
least have two courses to sort of help you. One your first year and then one your last year. So we
Mhm.
really try to bookend those together. And I think that's really important. I personally try to still either teach or co-teach those courses because I think that that's one of the most important things I can do for students.
That's awesome. Okay, so I mean, with that, sometimes out of the seminar class, I mean, are there different kind of cool projects and stuff that come out of that? What are some of the neat stories,
Yeah.
that you've seen from some of our students?
Well, you don't have all day. The problem with being here for 25 years is I can tell you neat stories all day long. So I'll try to limit to like recent neat stories, but I figured students needed some more research experiences, some independent research to help them get into the best grad schools and the best careers and internships. So I tossed out last semester on the Lebanon campus a 9 o'clock at night, Wednesday nights, 9 o'clock at night, voluntary course for 1 credit hour to do a research project. I thought maybe I'd get one or two students to join me. I had 9 students join me. That was just
Oh, wow.
awesome. All voluntary, not required for anything, but they could get 1 credit hour and we were going to do a research project. We did this really
Okay.
cool research project together. They presented it at different conferences. Looks great on their resumes. And that's the kind of thing that I can do at a McKendree that I could never do at a big school. And so I have students now really passionate about sports psychology, have students going into forensic psychology, amazing internship experiences. I had a man who went and he worked border patrol for a year and now he's in the US Marshals because of just he sort of stumbled upon that. I have a woman who loved dogs and is an IO psychologist, went and got her master's in IO psychology, and now she's like the head HR person at Purina in St. Louis. I mean, just all these really neat stories. One of the things that's so rewarding about staying at a school for 25 years is that I can see my students graduate,
Mhm.
they get their master's degrees, they get great jobs, they go off and they're really successful. One of my former students, he loves sports psych, and so of course we were close. He's actually went to some of the Olympics and worked with some of the Olympic athletes. So
Oh,
for
wow.
me, it's sort of like my students now are they're doing things that I can't even imagine. Like they have really gone above and beyond. And every time I see this man who's going to the Olympic athletes, he's like, "You gave me, my start." I'm like, "Yeah, but now you're doing these amazing, cool things, and I'm so proud of them." So
That's
I could
cool.
go, I could go on and on and on. I have about 1,000 Facebook friends that are former students, and I'm just so proud when I see all the neat things they're doing in their careers. I'm so proud when I see that like they're good parents, and yeah,
Mhm.
so it's really neat.
Go McKendree alum,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Okay. So I mean, this might be hard, but what is your favorite part about working at McKendree?
It's not a hard question. It's the students. I mean, for me, um, I like my faculty colleagues, I like my staff colleagues, but I really feel like I'm at the right place for my students. I just think that maybe being a first gen from Iowa, I really connect with the students. And
Mhm.
when I ever hear people say, "Oh, teenagers today, or young people today, or society today," I go, "Well, you're not hanging around with the right people," because
Right.
I would say 95% of the students that I work with, from 18-year-olds to 60-year-olds, they are working hard, they're doing their best, and so it's the students. I really think McKendree, we recruit the right kind of student, and
Mhm.
maybe the right kind of student looks for a place like McKendree, and I just think they're, as a whole, really great students.
Okay. Well, so do you have any words of wisdom for anybody that's thinking about, applying for our psychology program?
Yes, I do. I think one of the things about psychology is sometimes psychology gets a sort of a bad rap, a bad stereotype, if you will, that don't major in psychology. What are you going to do with psychology? And I think, maybe you have first generation parents who say, why don't you go major in business, or why don't you go major in something else? And yeah,
Mhm.
business, we have a great business program at McKendree too, but it's cliche, but you have to follow your heart. You really need to decide what what could I really imagine seeing myself doing in 10 years and 15 years and 20 years. Find something that you love and get paid for it. That's a sort of silly quote, but I think it's really true. And if in your heart you like working with people, if you're that friend that people always kind of come to and tell their problems to, then maybe you'd be a good counselor. So I think if you know that psychology is in your heart, you'll find that career that will pay off. I don't think most of us that go into psychology or education, I don't think we go into it thinking you're going to make 250,000. You go into it because you want to help other people.
Right.
If your main goal is to make 250,000, I don't really know what you should major in. There's nothing guaranteed to do that. But I do know that you're going to spend a lot of time in your job, and I think you should
Yeah.
pick something that you're passionate about and that you care about. And for me, I always loved psychology. I didn't know what exactly I was going to do with it, but I just knew that that's what I liked to study and that's what I wanted to learn.
Absolutely. Those are great words of advice. So, thank you so much again for carving out some time to chat with me today and our Bearcat family. And a big
Abs-
shout out to everybody tuning in today. We appreciate it, or appreciate you. So, keep an eye out for part 2 of our series. And Dr. Eggleston will talk a little bit about our clinical mental health and counseling program. So,
Perfect.
as always, I am sending healthy and safe wishes to everybody out there, to you and yours. And until next time.